Do you prefer that we stand or sit?
However.
Elected by the citizens of Winona County to serve this community as the Chief Prosecutor for Winona County. And in that capacity, I ask you to sentence Adam Taylor Fravel according to the law. A jury found Mr. Fravel guilty of first-degree premeditated murder and 3 crimes. Premeditated murder. The law provides that the punishment for first-degree premeditated murder is life in prison without the possibility of parole, and I ask you to impose that sentence. Your Honor, this case profoundly affected our community like no other I have observed in my 35 years in Winona County practicing law, and certainly not like any other during my 14 years as Winona County attorney. While every crime that is committed affects our community's sense of safety and security, the crimes committed by Mr. Fravel shook the very foundations of our community, shedding a very bright light on the extremes of domestic violence and revealing the evil acts of a man who had no care as to how his actions would affect his children for their lifetimes. This case galvanized a community to search for a missing mom of 2 young children, whose life ended tragically, leaving a gaping hole in the lives of those she loved and who loved her. When Madeline Jane Kingsbury's close friends and family became concerned about after they did not hear from her on March 31st, 2023, her family contacted the Winona City Police Department that same day to report her missing. The police department launched an investigation and shortly thereafter, with the help of area law enforcement agencies, began a massive search for Ms. Kingsbury. When law enforcement asked for help to expand the search area, over 2,000 individuals from across the region responded. Led by the Winona City Police Department, the law enforcement community and the community at large worked tirelessly to find Madeline Jane Kingsbury. The community was also galvanized to find her and were joined by other community members at a packed vigil on May 6, 2023, at First Congregational Church here in the city of Winona, a vigil that had been moved from Lake Park due to weather conditions. Over 250 people in person and another 700 or so online came together at that vigil for Madeline Jane Kingsbury. A quote from the WCCO TV station's report about the vigil is telling. Kingsbury's sorority sisters, family, friends, and others packed inside First Congregational Church in Winona, keeping her memory alive, along with the hope that someone would find her. Another quote from that same report from one individual said, "She was the kindest, most beautiful soul. Even on the brightest days, it still feels dark and gloomy without her here. I wake up from nightmares and quickly realize they are not as terrifying as the nightmare I am living through." Your Honor, Adam Taylor Fravel had concealed Madeline Jane Kingsbury's body in such a way that he hoped she would never have been found, but she was found due to the tenacity of law enforcement and the community searching to find her. 69 long and agonizing days after Madeline Jane Kingsbury went missing, her decomposing body was finally discovered on June 7, 2023, by a Fillmore County deputy sheriff who heard the noise of an unusual amount of flies swarming. Those flies led the deputy to find Ms. Kingsbury's body, concealed both in that culvert and covered with heavy logs and branches far away from her Winona home. Upon that discovery, hope gave way to grief and anger. The community at large mourned her death along with her family and friends. Mr. Fravel's actions have forever changed the lives of others. This includes traumatizing the children he shared with Ms. Kingsbury, who were 2 and 5 at the time of her death. As the family impact statements reveal, the children kept asking for their mommy, "Where's mommy?" Mr. Fravel's actions put an entire community in mourning, a community in shock, left her family devastated, left the lives of her children changed forever because of their father's evil act. But Your Honor, justice has caught up with Adam Taylor Fravel, and justice will be served for Madeline Jane Kingsbury, her family, her friends, her community, this community, by this court sentencing Adam Taylor Fravel to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sonneman. Mr. Fowler?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the defendant and the defense team acknowledges the jury's verdict in this case, and obviously the service that jury put in over the course of multiple weeks. Although we disagree with the verdict and whether there existed sufficient evidence to support some of the verdicts in this case, we understand Mr. Fravel has a right to appeal. He will certainly exercise that right moving forward. We also recognize that given the Minnesota statute in this case, that a first-degree murder verdict requires life imprisonment, and specifically that under Minnesota statute 609.106, the court does not have any ability to give any type of sentence other than life without the possibility of parole. We anticipate the court will do that in this case, and I have nothing further. Thank you.
You don't have to say anything. Your attorney for you, but is there anything else you want to